Hi, and welcome to number 9 in my series of classic old school blues guitar licks. And today we're going to take a look at some of the playing of Mickey Baker. And Mickey Baker is one of the really important pioneers of blues and rhythm and blues, electric guitar. And he's also typically considered a jazz player, but when I listen to his playing, I just hear tons of blues stuff. And his style is unique, and it has lots of licks that you can use if you're playing electric blues in any style. So I'm going to take you through and just show you some of my favorite licks. The introduction that I played was from a tune called Rib Joint, and that is a really cool instrumental that Mickey did back in the 50s or 60s. The basic lick is a double stop, which you hear him use in a lot of his songs. So I'm going to show you a couple variations and ideas that you can use with double stops. First of all, I played it in the key of A. I think it's in B flat or even A flat on the recording, but I put it in A just because it's easier to work with. And that first lick is a typical rhythm and blues, electric blues type thing. I'm starting on the bass note on the D, 4th string at the 7th fret. It's an A note. And then I'm doing this double stop with my first finger on the 5th fret, 2nd and 3rd strings, and I'm hammering down my 2nd finger onto the 6th fret of the 3rd string. I'm actually hitting it twice, down and up. Then I'm doing another double stop on the 7th fret, 2nd and 3rd strings. This is all in the A blues box position. And then in between, this is something Mickey did on a lot of his tunes. He'd go down to the real, or up to the really high notes. If you go all the way down 17th fret, that's an A. So you hear this. And he hits it and then slides back up. And then he does the same thing in the key of D, down here on the 10th. That's a D, first position bar chord. Now when I go up to the high notes, I can either hit the same 2 notes, or I can just add the 3rd string and get a different type of sound, but that's the high A. And back to the 1. Then the 5 is the E. To the 4 again, the D. Now if you listen to the tune Rib Joint, he stays on the 1 and he does this really neat lick before he heads into the 4. It goes like this. And that is another example of his very creative use of double stops. And he starts out the lick, so we're playing in the key of A. So you go down here with your first finger on the 9th fret of the 1st string, and my 2nd finger on the 10th fret. Get that double stop. Now he used that alone in a lot of his tunes, so he could start out a tune and something like that. So you hear that alone in a lot of Mickey Baker things. But he takes this and he goes, so he slides it down 2 frets, same position. Then we go to this double stop, which is a D really. First finger on the 5th fret of the 1st string, ring finger on the 7th fret of the 2nd string, then down 2 more frets. So the first part of that lick played on the 1st and 2nd strings. Like that. And then he goes, this is a double stop on the 2nd and 3rd fret of the 2nd and 3rd strings on the 7th fret. And we've seen this before. So then Then he's going with his first finger. This is really an A, out of an A chord shape. First finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, 2nd finger on the 6th fret. That same lick, remember we were hammering on, but now we're just keeping the 2nd finger steady on the 6th string. And taking that down to, and then first finger on the 2nd and 3rd strings at the 2nd fret, which is really an A, part of an A chord. So that whole second part of the lick, so the whole thing. Then we're walking back up, climbing back up. So from that first A position, we're just taking that double stop at the, with my 2nd finger on the 3rd fret, the 4th fret to the 5th fret, back to the A. And then that position again, 2nd and 3rd strings, barred with my ring finger at the 7th fret. And this time we're taking the A position and going down 1 fret and then back. So like A flat. So that whole second, last part. And that is a cool lick. It just gives you an idea of some of the stuff you can do with the double stops. And that was a trademark of Mickey Baker's playing, was his use of the double stops. Here's another example of Mickey Baker's creative use of double stops. This one you can use in a number of different ways, and I can't remember which tune I picked this up from. But let's say we're playing in the key of C. So that's my first position, C. And what I'm doing is going here. I'll just play it for you one time. And you could play that over the C, over the 1. What I'm doing is real simple. Here's the C, the bar chord. It's that same double stop shape we used up here in A. Now I'm down here at the 8th fret. And then I'm going 2 frets down. Then I'm barring at the 5th fret, 2nd and 3rd strings, which is a C, and then going up or down again to the 3rd fret. If you wanted to, then when the song goes to the 4, which is an F, you could come down here. And all I did there was go down to the F, first position bar chord, do the same thing. Here's an F, and back to the 1. And then when the song goes to the 5, the G, you could play. Go to the F as the 4, and then back to the 1. And then wind it up somehow. However you want to do it. So those are actually a few ideas of Mickey Baker's playing using the double stops. Now another thing that he did was with the bends. And he did some really cool bends combined with double stops and single string runs. And I'm going to do a couple in the key of A for you. Again, A is sort of a middle of the neck position. You can use the same licks up, down here, or up here, wherever you want to. Here's one that I heard in a song. I'll play it for you. You can use this as a fill or part of a solo or introduction to a song, something like this. It goes like this. That's a cool lick. What I'm doing is I'm bending. I've got my first finger anchored on the 5th fret of the 1st and 2nd strings. My 2nd and 3rd finger on the 3rd string at the 6th and 7th frets. In that first bend, I'm actually getting both the 2nd and 3rd strings. I'm bending up, then hitting the double stop at the 5th fret, and then coming back to the third string, pulling off up to the 5th fret, and then winding up on the root, the A note, at the 7th fret of the 4th string. So and that is a neat Mickey Baker type thing, real typical of his playing. Throwing that in. Another neat lick you hear in a couple of his different tunes, I get it from an instrumental called Spinning Rock Boogie, which he plays in G, is something that goes like this. And what he's doing is kind of downstroking and bending at the same time. I'm doing it in G now. I do it in A. Something like that. But what I'm doing is just bending up just a little bit on the 3rd string. I've got that same position, the same one I just used. But this time I'm getting the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st strings. Bending, and then 2nd and 1st string. And that's a lick you can use in songs at different tempos and different styles. Something like that. And he's really just taking his right hand and dragging it down the strings. So it's all downstroke. It's like one continuous stroke as far as what I hear. Something along those lines. As we go forward here and wrap this up, I'm going to show you one more double stop rhythm. This is one I forgot about. This is from a tune called Shake Walkin. It's an instrumental that Mickey did, and it's got a really cool use of some of the same licks that we've already used. And the lick goes like this. I'm going to play it in the key of A. And that's just one way you could end it up. But we're using our same double stops, and we're sliding down to the 7th, but we're just playing on the 2nd and 3rd strings. So it's like this. In that position, I've got my 2nd and 3rd fingers. 2nd finger is on the 8th fret of the 2nd string. Ring fingers on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. Then go to the D, and so on throughout the song. But that's just another variation using the same basic double stop position. It's very simple stuff, but used very creatively, and that's really the trademark of, in my mind, of Mickey Baker's playing. One last idea that I'll show you, and this is something that you'll see again when we talk about Ike Turner, is a lot of times when he's playing in G or A, he'll go down to the really high notes, or go up to the really high notes on the neck. And so if he's playing in G, and real simple idea, but it's you can use it in a lot of different ways. We already saw it in Rib Joint, where he was doing when he's going down to the A. So in G, what I'm doing is just sliding down to the 15th fret of the 1st string. It's a G. So in my solo I can play and combine that little high note to back up and play the notes up here. It's just a contrast in the high and the low. Now Ike Turner, when you hear him do it, he'll slide back and forth, which is kind of neat. We'll get into that later. But right now, at any key, if you're playing in F, you can go down to the 11th or the 13th fret, playing in G, 15th fret, A, 17th fret, that's your high note. And sometimes he'll even throw in the double stop. So if he's in G, he might go, whoops. So what I'm doing is going all the way down to G and playing the double stop. So instead of just one string, playing two strings at the 15th fret. Then he's throwing in the double stop, where I've got my pinky on the 18th fret of the first string and his ring finger on the 17th fret of the second string. So he might play. So go all the way down. Play a little lick down there, and then but that again, as with we talked about this a little bit with the Otis Rush playing, that contrast between the lower notes and the high notes, whether it's double stops or just the single string. That is a really cool effect that you can add to your solos or as fills or whatever. Now those are just a few of the many ideas that you can find. My idea in the playing of Mickey Baker, my suggestion is get a couple of his CDs, listen to it, you'll find a lot more cool stuff. But those are some licks there that I've learned and use in my playing and that I enjoy. Hopefully this is a video that will help you some, give you some ideas. Again, if you have any questions, any feedback, let me know.